The United States fell to Belgium last night, 4-1, bowing out in the round of 16, which is essentially the ceiling it has been for at least this generation of U.S. soccer. Maybe to help us dig into why that's the case, a legend of North Carolina soccer, a member of the North Carolina Soccer Hall of Fame, has been coaching soccer here in North Carolina for almost 40 years. He's now at Ravenscroft after a long, successful career at Leesville Road. Paul Dinkenor. Sir, it is an honor to have you on the radio. Appreciate your time.
Good morning, Adam. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, I should say.
You said good morning. I just had to look at the clock.
I'm exhausted from watching that game.
It was remarkable. If we have time, I will ask you about it. Your thoughts about what this U.S. team was. Was it talented enough? Was it talent that stopped them against Belgium? Because I want to get into the other issues after that, but I'm just curious, when you watched last night, did you see a team that didn't have enough talent to advance maybe beyond where they were? What was your take on it?
Well, I think when they equalized and then conceded a goal about 60 seconds later, that was an absolute backbreaker emotionally, and I don't think they really ever recovered from them. As you said on your show earlier, Belgium played very, very well. They're not, I don't think, a world-beating team. The U.S. just didn't bring their A game, and I don't think people should be, sort of down on them. And I think that there's a lot of positives to be taken for them.
Is their talent level? It's not what Portugal has. It's not what some of the real powerhouse nations have. But I thought in terms of talent, they probably had as much as Belgium did. It was maybe certainly wasn't an egregious gap. Was that just more to not being ready for that moment?
Well, I think when you look at the clubs that the top players on the world teams are playing for, these are top-level clubs like PSG, Real Madrid, Man City. U.S. players are now beginning to attract the attention of those clubs. But again, I look at the Egyptian team that played so courageously today. They have many players who play on the Cairo club Al Ahly.
Yep.
And so, it's just, I think you make a fair point. They're going to have more people playing year-round. What people might not know is that these World Cup players probably had 2 weeks off after a 60-game season before they went into training camp to prepare for the World Cup. It's crazy.
The soccer season is too long. I think that too many matches, too many competitions. I know you're a fan of a Premier League side, as am I. Yep. And I just watched the season where, even though Liverpool wasn't any good, but by their own standards, right. Too many competitions, too many matches, shouldn't have to play twice a week. There has to be some relaxation of the schedule. But let me get to the American system. I was talking to our high school OT editor, and we're talking with Paul Dinkenor, who's a North Carolina Soccer Hall of Famer. I wonder if there's a way, because my son's part of the club system, as my older son was part of the club system, but he did get a lot out of playing for you at Leesville Road. I don't think the high school soccer experience is what it used to be. Would that help if the high school soccer experience was better soccer, more competitive, where the best players stayed there? Would that be a better way to develop young soccer players?
I think there's just so much demand upon teenage boys and girls today in the sort of perennial conflict between club and high school that the people who are not finding positives in that are the players themselves. Their seasons, just like we were talking about, are now beginning. I have players at Ravenscroft now who said that their club season, they've got tournaments and regionals and this and that. They're already playing now, and then their season will go on and on and on till December, January, and they'll go immediately to high school season. And that, to me, is just inviting burnout, injury, and is detrimental to, what they're at high schools for, which is the experience, academics, and everything else. I mean, I've coached both sides of the equation, and I had a great time doing it, but I think there has to be some dialogue between high school coaches and club coaches to lessen the load on the players, because it's going in a bad direction, and there needs to be a solution sooner rather than later.
My soon-to-be 18-year-old, we have a tournament next week,
there you go.
National Finals in Denver. That should be the end, but he starts up again in August in high school. He goes to a high school where they go back to school like the second week in August, and he'll have practice, and he loves his high school club, his high school team. So I think, and he's fortunate enough to have a high school coach that allows him to do all the club stuff. The clubs generally don't like it if you play high school soccer as well. And in full disclosure, he was told if he wants to go play in college to quit his high school team and just focus on club. If I had told you that and he was playing for you, whether it's at Ravenscroft or Leesville Road, what would you say?
Probably need to find a new club. But I think what used to happen is, just to take the boys, for example, the high school boys would play from early August to Thanksgiving, and on December the 1st, the club season would take over and would go to about May. Everybody seemed good with that. It didn't overtax the people, the kids involved, and everybody got along. Those were the days where there were only 2 club teams in every age level, and now there are 8 or 9.
Yep.
But I think you cannot replicate the experience of walking out of your last class period of the day and training and playing with your high school teammates who you see in the hallways, you see on the weekends. That is a great experience. And I think if as you say, it's a little bit diluted now, it's because the players are trying to placate 2 sets of coaches. There's no money involved in high school. There's money involved in club. So that's a tough one for parents to navigate. That's why coaches need to get together and realize the system is not helping the boys and girls, and we need to have a solution.
Paul Dinkenor is joining us here, legendary high school coach here in North Carolina. All right, so you alluded to pay for play. And there are many people who say pay for play is the problem that we have not developed. It's leaving people alone, leaving them out of the sport at the elite level, at the club level, which is really where the colleges are recruiting. Jack wants to play football, but wants to play soccer in college. So in order for him to get recruited and to put himself in front of coaches, that's where he's got to be. So there is a problem unless you've got $10,000, because that's basically what it costs to play at that level. It's probably higher than that. Is pay for play a problem? How do you get around that?
Well, perhaps just for the really, really upper echelon of players, the academy system does work. I think it's impossible for that level of player to play high school as well. Although in Charlotte, the people who run Charlotte FC are also high school coaches, so they do encourage both, and they make the schedule practical enough that their top level players are playing for schools, public schools like Providence, and private schools like Providence Day. So it's working there better than it seems to be in Raleigh, where, of course, we have the largest club soccer organization possibly in the country.
Yeah, and NCFC is enormous, and they no longer have right now a senior men's team competing. They have
Right.
suspended their men's team. Does that matter?
Well, that's a tough call, really, because there's some really great coaches up there, and I've coached at NCFC even when it was called Castle back in the days, and enjoyed it enormously, and great facilities, great programs, but there just needs to be some, as you say, winter break for the players. It's generally a couple of weeks here in the winter, and that's just not enough. And the kids are burnt out, they're sick of it, and sometimes they just drop off these teams, which again, it's not a good thing.
All right, I don't want to keep you too long. I have a couple of more questions for Paul Dinkenor, again, a North Carolina Soccer Hall of Fame coach. You play all year. You mentioned how many teams there used to be at each age level, and now there are, I don't even know how many teams there are. Jack is now at Wake FC, and I don't know how many teams there are at at the U19 level. I think there's a minimum of 6, I think, and there are probably more. How many of those players do you think, just, I know without watching them, really could play beyond where they are right now? And basically, are a lot of parents wasting a lot of money?
Well, I'm not going to speak for other people. I know that the upper echelon of players can certainly play at a good college level. I think they're great opportunities, especially for girls to play D1, D2, D3, and much more so than 20 years ago. And that's a good thing. But are you going to go to college because you want to play for the U.S. men's or women's national team, or are you going to go because they have a major you like it academically, you like it socially, you want to be far away from home, or you want to be close by? I don't preach to my players that you're going to college to play soccer. I think that's ridiculous. But the academy system that the clubs in Europe employ is very, very different. People leave school at the age of 14 or 15 and go to these academies where they do study somewhat, but mostly what they're studying, it seems, is soccer.
Paul Dinkenor is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Again, as somebody who lives in the system, and you're watching your son go through it, and he wants to play at the next level. Is there a best way to do it when you're trying to balance both?
You know your son better than anybody else, so you are aware of signs of burnout. Is there a decline in his academic performance at school? Is he enjoying what he's doing? Does the driving to and from split you up as a family? These are things that you need to take into consideration. I mean, sometimes I hear stories of people electing to go to a college because they've been given a scholarship. They've never even stepped foot on the campus.
Yeah.
Within a year, they sit at the end of the bench because everybody's good, and then they transfer. And that system, again, needs fixing.
Yeah, final thing for Paul Dinkenor.
Sure.
Could high school coach I'm not trying to put you in a bad position here, because most soccer coaches are just teachers who love the game. Could high school coaching, with more funding, maybe it's from an outside source, certainly it isn't from our state or federal government, but could high school coaching be improved to a point where this would be a better place for high school soccer players to stay, rather than go to a club where it does cost $10,000 or more to get through a season?
Well, I think obviously the club coaches they probably have more licenses and diplomas, but that doesn't mean you're a good coach. I mean, I think a good coach is a good people person. It's somebody who knows the game. I don't think necessarily you have to have played the game, but it does help. But it doesn't simply imply, well, Lionel Messi would be the greatest coach in the
Right.
world. That's not, guaranteed. But I think from a personal experience as a classroom teacher, I just the relationships that I had with my players who were in my classes on my teams was second to none. It was awesome. With your club coaches who are great people and they're giving their time. You're seeing those people 3 times a week. How could high school coaches improve themselves? They could take some of these courses. They could observe more. But as you say, it's very hard for high schools to find teachers who want to coach. And the pay is adequate, but you're not going to be able to retire on that sort of pay.
Right.
So I think possibly incentives need to be there, but I'm a great believer in academics come first. And so somewhere in the middle, somebody has to take the initiative. And I know we have some people at Ravenscroft who are desperate to sit down with the powers that be in the club system to try to hammer all this out before it ruins the game by simply having too many teams and diluting the quality of both club and high school.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think. I think they,
Yep.
if you have more kids who apply, well, we'll just add another team.
Exactly.
And because that's a lot more money coming in. You were also a heck of a history teacher. I know that for a fact. So you are a gentleman and a legend, Paul Dinkenor. I appreciate your time, sir. Next time we speak, we'll actually talk about the beautiful game.
Thank you so much. Very nice of you to have me on the show and keep doing all your good work.
Oh, well, whatever I do is fine. Thank you very much, sir. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
You got it. Paul Dinkenor here on the Adam Gold Show.